But the delay gets longer and longer and longer. Okay, we are live, YouTube and live on Plant Your Face. And all right, the ushers brought Linda down. All right, man, they're on the ball. So far, no problems. All right, come on, ushers. Don't let anybody by that concession stand. God damn, that's ptomaine heaven back there. Even the roaches won't eat there. Ushers, there's people that need to be seated. Come on. I'm going to cut your pay. Okay, they brought Ron down. All right. Holy shit. Ron's glad to be here in the air conditioned studio with it being 112 degrees. Holy cooked kielbasa. And they brought Kathy down, and now Ron's sitting in between two absolutely gorgeous ladies. With great anticipation, broadcasting from the basement storeroom of station WDWL TV, we bring you the pride of the station. Who's that? Oh, me, the grumpy old man. And, like usual, asshole is still on strike. And I'm not negotiating. And I'm not paying him. Oh, so how's everybody doing today? I know Ron's happy to be in the air conditioned studio at 112 degrees. Holy cooked kielbasa. Man, I just can't envision that. I just can't envision walking outside at 112 degrees. I would fucking melt. Almost live. Okay. This is not AI. This is the real thing. Kathy's good. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Guess what I did, Kathy? Oh, oh, oh. I went up to that round letter store, Circle K, and Linda's good. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And I got two more El Grande Lawson's Chip Dip. Yeah, no 16 ounces, 24s. Oh, two of them. I know. Oh, yeah, more chip dip. Yeah. I'm cringing. My blood test Tuesday. I am going to catch so much hell from my doctor Wednesday. I'm afraid to go. Yeah. Well, I like to keep a couple on hand. That's what I'm going to tell my doctor. Uh, no, not yet. You know, I'm going to make it tomorrow. It's no, it ain't doing me no good with all the cans of clams sitting in the cupboard, and before the sour cream expires, I'm going to make it tomorrow. That's what I'm afraid of. Oh my God. I'm cringing. I really am. Oh man. This is one of the few times I'm really afraid to go to the doctor. Well, thank you, Linda. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Considering I didn't hear it from my own son, thank you very much. Even the clerk at Circle K wished me a happy Father's Day. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. She was wishing me a happy Father's Day as she was asking me for my ID for cigarettes. They are the only place that IDs for cigarettes. I can go anywhere else and buy a fucking pack. I go to Circle K. Can I see your ID before I give you these cigarettes? Well, happy Father's Day to you, Ron. At least you had one person wish it to you. I didn't. Well, until I went to Circle K. It gets pretty bad. You have to go to a store for somebody to wish you happy Father's Day. Yeah, Kathy with the Jewish oy vey. Yeah. Yeah, Shabbat Shalom. I, you know, when when I was working for the Jewish funeral home, I I really learned a lot of Hebrew. And I'll tell you what, if first of all, if you don't use it every day or at least weekly, you forget it. I can't remember, and they taught me a lot of Hebrew swear words. They were a crazy bunch. Oh my God, I loved those guys. Especially after, a high holiday, holy day, they would bring all the leftovers. And I was the only Gentile that ever got invited downstairs to partake. And the one day I was eating creamed herring, which, oh my God, I love. And the one guy's mother made it from scratch. And I'm eating this creamed herring, and he walks in and goes, "Oh my God, how the hell can you eat that shit? I can't stand that stuff." And I said, "Larry, you're the one that's Jewish, not me. I'm a Gentile." I'll tell you what, the creamed herring, the brisket, the gefilte fish. Oh, I was in fucking heaven. I miss that food. Oh, God, do I miss that food. And I was the only one They even had a couple of Gentile employees. Now, I did the funeral escorts. I didn't per se work for the funeral home. But I'll tell you what, and here was the problem. Unfortunately, a lot of our drivers at the limousine service hated going over there. And their attitude kind of emanated, and they picked up on it. To me, they're human beings. Not to mention, I never had anything against Jewish people because when my grandfather retired from the state and bought half interest in the hardware store, his partner who owned it was Jewish. And Bernie treated me like I was his grandson. So, I don't know what the big deal was. We'd have several funeral escorts over there, and the other guys would be like, "Oh, Jesus Christ, them goddamn Jews, I don't know." I was like, what is your problem? And, they noticed that out of all the other assholes, I was like on their side. I was not only, now, bear with it, get this, they had 3 Gentile employees at the funeral home. They never got invited to partake in the leftovers. And they told me this. They said, you are the only Gentile that we have ever invited down into our personal lunchroom. And I'll tell you, I was honored. And the interesting thing was, I can't remember, there was a certain closing prayer to end the funeral service before going to the cemetery. And they had a little PA system up in the main floor where we were. And I would hear the rabbi start that prayer. They wouldn't be paying attention. I would get up and say, "Hey guys, showtime." And they're like, "Really?" I said, "Listen, they also bought me lunch many times. Like if I was there, sometime they'd have 5, 6 funerals a day. They'd go up to Wendy's or McDonald's and they, "What do you want?" I'd be reaching my pocket and they'd say, "Hey, don't insult us. What do you want?" I'd like, "I'll have a burger and fries." "You can eat more than that." I said, "All right, bring me 2 Big Macs and a large fry and a large, Coke. That's better." Okay. So the one day I asked Larry Miller was crazy. I said, "Are there Hebrew swear words?" He said, "Oh, yeah." "You got a pencil?" I wrote them all down. He said, "Now practice them. Next time you're here, I want to hear them. And they better have a Hebrew accent with them. I had my own yarmulke. It was a fancy one. I still got it somewhere. Okay, here's the kind of asshole I am. Are you ready? Whenever the Jehovah Witnesses would show up, I'd put the yarmulke on. And I'd come out and they'd start, their spiel, and I'd say, well, I'm sorry, I'm Jewish. They'd be, okay, sorry, and they'd leave. And I know I'm an asshole. But it worked. Yeah, everybody else in the neighborhood got the knock, knock, knock. They walk right past my house. Oh, forget him. And luckily I knew there was a temple up on Purtis or Triscuit. And I knew the rabbi's name because the one day, one of them he got a little wise. He said, where do you worship? I said, the Temple West up on Triscuit, Rabbi Bernstein. And evidently he knew. He went, very nice, very nice. Have a nice day. And they left. I always kept a yarmulke by the front door. Kind of peek out the door. Whoa! I used to have a neat scarf, like a prayer shawl. My neighbors could never figure out why they walked right past my house all the time. I used to know all the words for Haba Nagila, but I forget. I had more fun with those guys. Oh my God. The only problem is, for a Gentile funeral procession, you'd have maybe 30 cars. A Jewish funeral procession, try 150. Remember the union guy by the name of Jackie Presser? When he died, we had a funeral procession of 560 cars and 3 tour buses. It took forever to get everybody into the cemetery. Although I'll say one thing. Why did this mic... Oh, Jesus Christ. Jewish people honor their dead. They really do. I learned a lot. I really did. I learned because in between funerals, Larry would sit me down and explain certain like rituals and explain all the high holy holidays that they have and it was basically you treat people like you would want to be treated. Do, Doing a funeral escort over there, besides it being a gazillion cars, was no different than doing a Gentile funeral service. It's what people, the way they were raised. When I come out of Circle K, I looked over by the gas pumps, and there was a Pontiac Solstice, and right behind it was a Saturn Sky. Those little sport coupe that they built before Pontiac and Saturn both went under. So I walked over and I'm looking, and I started asking the guy about his car. And he says, which way are you going home? I said, well, I'm going to hang a right, and I'm going to go down to Berea Road and hang a right. He says, I'll tell you what, we're going that way. We'll pull into George's Kitchen parking lot if you want to look the cars over and talk. I was like, hey, cool. Well, he worked as a technician for Pontiac. He ordered the car. He took delivery September 1st of 2006. Brand new. It only had 6 miles on it. Today, 19 years later, it has 5,294. Also, it was a 5-speed, which makes it very rare because they built very few manual transmissions. And I said to the guy, "Oh, you got a rare car there." He says, "Well, go look at my wife's car." His wife was a secretary at a Saturn dealership. She ordered her Saturn Sky. She took delivery of hers September 10th of 06. Her car had 8 miles on it, brand new. 19 years later, her car has 4,002. And both of these look like they just rolled out of the showroom. 2 rare cars. Because both of them were manuals. And he told me that in 06, out of the full production, only 20 were manuals. But it was interesting. Basically, they're the same car. I think the Saturn Sky looked better. It had a nicer front end on it and little different taillights. But they have a husband and wife, both with manual transmission cars, but they hardly drive. I was impressed. I really would have liked to take one around the block, but nobody offered. But there they were, sitting at the gas pumps, one behind the other. I even made the joke with the guy, "You're making your wife fill up her own car." He didn't think that was too funny. I would love to have, even though Saturn really, but they were the same damn car. I'd have rather had a Saturn Sky because it has a way nicer front end on it than the Pontiac. The Solstice looks like somebody just grabbed the front bumper and went, there, put two headlights in, done. And the Saturn had a little fancier interior in it. But basically, when those cars were built, designed and built, they were what they called parts bin cars. They took an engine from here, and they took a transmission from here, and an interior from here, and very little of that car was designed. Most of it was like, oh well, we'll use seats from the from our Opel division overseas. We'll use them seats, and we'll use the engine from Buick, and we'll have a transmission from Chevy, and it was like they had big parts bin, threw them together. There you go. It's sad neither one of them really sold well. Yeah, Linda, we used to, God, there were cruise ins all over the place years ago. The younger generation isn't interested in this stuff. The last cruise in that I was at, it was all seniors. Seniors that owned the cars, seniors that were looking at the cars, and the seniors are getting old, and the kids don't want them. It's sad. Although I really can't, I can't see like 25 years from now somebody going, oh, I want to restore that, Chevy Tahoe that I got. That's it's a it's a 2012. The younger generation has no interest in this stuff. It's amazing how many cars I see on eBay. Cars from, the 50s, 60s. The younger generation has no interest. Like, I loved to go to cruise-ins. On a Friday and a Saturday night, I would hit as many as I could because I appreciated looking at the vehicles. They brought back so many memories. Not today. I remember the last cruise in I was at. It was in a parking lot next door to Wendy's. And I ran over to Wendy's to get me a sweet tea. And as I'm walking out, there were 5 or 6 teenage kids in a group. And one of the kids said, "You want to go over and look at the cars?" And one of the other kids went, "They're old cars. Who the hell cares?" I was like, matter of fact, I said to the kid, "There's a 55 Corvette over there." He turned to me and went, "So?" I was drooling over that thing. Oh, Ron. Oh, buddy, come on. You're going to have to set a timer or something. You're really screwing your medication up there, buddy. You could have wrote, "Oh shit, I don't care." We won't get thrown off a faceplant or YouTube. What time is your next pill? God, you don't want to take 2 together. Oh, no, 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 no. Is there enough time spacing between this one and the next one? Linda, you're going to have to kick his ass. All right, well, at least you got some spacing there. See, I take you were asleep. Okay, no problem. You're allowed. I take the majority of mine first thing in the morning. Then I take 2 more at noon. And then I take 3 at bedtime. So, and I have a little pill carrier I carry with me in case I'm not home. Of course, nowadays, Jesus Christ, if you get stopped, you better have the goddamn bottle with you and with a prescription on it, or you're going to get arrested. Yeah, I have a little. Well, it's right here. It's right here. Of course, I put it in the back on the desk. Yeah, I put it in the back, all right, way back. I don't know why I do that. I stick it in the back of the desk. Let me turn this off. Oh. Now I got shit all over the place. God damn it. Yeah, I clip it on my keychain. I got it at the drugstore. And it's got an O-ring on it, so it keeps it in case I would like drop it in the water. So if I'm going anywhere, I pop my 2 noon pills in it and clip it to my keychain. You got one like that? They didn't have them in colors when I got mine. The whole rack, silver, 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 silver. Then a couple weeks later, blue, red, green, yellow. It's like, where were these when I wanted to buy one? And I was too cheap to buy another one. But you know, the problem is, if for some reason I would get stopped and searched, I don't have the prescription on me. I just have pills in a container that they know are not over the counter, and they could give you a rash of shit over it. Although, what I could do is peel the label off of one of my pill jars and mount it to an index card, trim it down and carry it in my wallet. That would show that I'm legally prescribed this medication. Although I would have to do something pretty nasty to get searched. I mean, you know, if I got stopped for speeding, they're not going to pull me out of the vehicle, make me assume the position, and strip search me on the street, you know. But you see so much shit nowadays, you know, people with pills, although they're drug addicts and they don't have prescriptions for them. Yeah, but then I gotta carry the I don't want to be carrying this bottle around with me in a car. I'll just take my chances. Very rarely do I go out. Most of the time, if I'm going to the store, it's after 12. So I already took my medication. Has to be in the original. Well, like I say, I take two at 12. Very rarely am I out before 12. And if I am, it's right up the street. And I'm not carrying. Yeah, I could do that. Or ask the pharmacist, what do I have to take them? I know, yeah, you got to have the in the bottle and it would be nice if you were issued like a card that listed all your medications that you carried in your wallet. Yeah, I could do that, Kathy. But like I say, rarely do I go out before noon. So most of the time I've already taken it. And then I don't have to worry about taking anything else until bedtime. So I take my handful first thing in the morning, two at noon, three at bedtime. It's sad you have to your life your life circulates around pill time. It sucks to get old. I bought one of these disposable vapors. Strawberry banana flavor. I'm gonna try to cut back on the old smokes. Oh, you have an app? What kind of app? Well, that's a damn good idea. I never thought of that. I never thought of looking around to see if they have apps for medical emergencies. Because years ago it used to be look in the wallet for, an emergency card. Now it's look in the phone. God, I never thought of that. Good deal, and I never thought of that. Because I'm bad about I unlock my phone and I leave it unlocked. Really? Wow, that's interesting. Very good thing to have. I'll have to look into that. I guess I'm going to have to do some research. I never thought of putting anything on my phone. Well, see, Linda, that's another thing I never thought of. I have a notepad feature on my phone. I guess I'm going to have to get my ass in gear and start coming into the new generation. See, that's another thing I don't. Yeah, it's a damn good idea. Because, like I say, nowadays, that's what, EMS, they don't look in your wallet for emergency cards. If your phone is handy, they look in your phone. I never thought of that. Hey, you guys give me a good idea. Get with it. I wonder if I could put my x-ray in of my neck with my dog bone. Be- Put in cervical collar immediately. Neck full of bolts and nuts. That gives me something to do tomorrow. And if I need any help when I go to see Vampire on Tuesday, I can talk to the girls at the front desk. I hope Sheila's working Tuesday. She's good. She'll do like I say. Butterfly here. She won't be asking me, "Are you a sissy?" That one's no longer there. Interesting. I hope that was the kind of card like she carried on a lanyard around her neck. Well, Linda, it just was that, pardon the expression, that bitch. She was in a hurry because there were, several people sitting waiting for blood work. And a butterfly takes twice as long. So after she stabbed me in the arm, when I got home, I called her supervisor. And then her supervisor goes, "Really? She's not that type of person." Oh, yeah. Oh, really? Are you a sissy? I told her supervisor it took everything to stop me from backhanding her. Here, are you a sissy? I'd have got charged with assault. Are you a sissy? There's another one there. Nancy. Either one, if they're working tomorrow. I'll just say, hey, butterfly right here. Good veins. Yeah, they'll be taking about a gallon. He ordered every blood test known to man. I looked at the order. Jesus Christ. He's testing for everything but dengue fever. Oh, yeah, Kathy, she would come right out. Are you a sissy? Here, let me stick this 20 gauge in your ass cheek. Are you a sissy? But there were probably like 10 people waiting to get blood work done, and there were only two flat bottomists. And with a butterfly, it does take longer. Unfortunately, well, they'll be taking a whole shitload because I saw the order. Jesus Christ. He's testing for every goddamn thing on earth. That's why I say I'm cringing Wednesday. Because I know my cholesterol's probably out of whack. My fault. But like I tell him, at this age, every now and then you cheat. And I've been cheating big time. Lawson's chip dip. Brr. I still haven't tried on a sandwich yet. I haven't been in the mood for sandwiches. I even mix some in with my blue cheese dressing. Interesting taste, I'll say that. Blue cheese French onion. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, I poured some blue cheese in a measuring cup. Put some Lawson chip dip in there. Whooped it up. Poured it over my salad. Mmm. I could feel my arteries clogging. Yeah, Wednesday I'm going to catch hell. Because, see, with the new primary care, this is the first blood work. So that was why he ordered every test under the sun. And I'm gonna get hell. It's only Kathy. Although I have to stop and think, I'm not a 30-year-old. Well, Linda, all I know is there is a page full on that order. Everything imaginable. So I'm sure he's going to be testing kidney function too, I don't know about thyroid, but all right, Ron, make them happy. Give them a few treats. It's like my big fat boy. He sits next to me on the bed in the morning. And he knows as soon as I put the shoes on, it's time. I'm going to be leaving the bedroom. And he reaches out and he'll tap me on the arm like, don't forget my treats. And then I stand up and he's like, and then I piss him off because I walk around the bed 2 or 3 times and he follows me. And then finally I give him a couple of treats. But he's a riot. But it's so cute when I'm tying my shoes. It tap me on the arm. Hey, I'm here. I can't miss you. You're sitting next to me. And I deliberately piss him off. Walk around the bed, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then you ought to see the look on his face if I go for the door. It's like, where are you going? Treats. I've been putting up with your bullshit. Then I pick the bag up, shake it a little bit. Then I give him his treats. This morning I had SpongeBob, zebra mouse with feather tail, round ball with feather, and gray mouse with no tail, all in the bed. Last night was let's drag cat toys in. Every time he gets in the bed, different cat toy. I go to make the bed and I'm like, Jesus Christ. One of these days, all 200 are going to be in there. I'm going to have to bring one of his SpongeBobs in tomorrow and show you. I don't know what the attraction is with that damn thing. There's no catnip in it. There never was. But it crackles. And it's got feathers. It's amazing it still has feathers. Anything that we had with feathers, the feathers been gone for a long time. Another thing that drives him crazy. Oh God, I can't remember. My friend sent me a tea bag because her cat goes crazy every time she takes his tea bags out of the box. And she gave him one to play with one day, which was a disaster because there was tea all over. So she sent me one. And dumbass me, he's on the bed, and I tossed it to him. Next time I went in the bedroom, there was tea everywhere on the bed. And on him, because he rolled in it. I can't remember what kind of tea it. Two years ago, I was in the pet shop, and they had this compressed sawdust catnip ball. And I says to the guy, does it stay like this? Oh yeah. It's they use 10,000 pounds of pressure to crush that thing, and within a week I had sawdust everywhere. So much for 10,000 pounds of pressure. He figured a way to destroy that. I even told the guy at the pet shop, don't tell nobody anymore, 10,000 pounds of pressure. A cat will figure a way of destroying it. Especially mine. Did you give him some treats? Did you make him happy, Ron? Do they ever go out in the 112-degree temperature? Or are they strictly indoor? I'm going to have to email my friend tomorrow and ask her what the temperature is in her area. Oh, they got treats for lunch? Okay. As long as you give them treats, they deserve it. I would think at that temperature they wouldn't want to be outside anyway. Yeah, we should sing that song. Welcome back. What the hell was that show? Welcome back, Cotterpin. Like the Kenny Rogers song. You took a wrong time to leave me loose wheel. Oh, Lucille, not loose wheel. I used to sing it like that just to piss my wife off. It's not loose wheel, it's Lucille. I said, well, that would be kind of a song aimed at a trucker. You took a wrong time to leave me loose wheel. Off in the desert. I could never write songs. Yeah, this week I have to go up to the muffler shop. I have to get a piece of pipe about 24 inches long. I have to move my muffler back a little bit more on the shit box. I never cared for country western too much. They're all, all the songs are the same. My wife left me, my neighbor left me, my dog left me. Oh, I miss that dog. Yeah, I want Ron to say that to his better half. He'll be eating out of the other side of his mouth. Nah. So when anybody have cookouts, barbecues, well, I wouldn't want I don't think you'd be barbecuing out in 112-degree weather, but with it being Father's Day, I would have thought somebody'd be throwing a cookout somewhere. No cookouts, Kathy? Although, the younger generations are not like back in the day. Well, I thought maybe you'd get invited somewhere. None of the relatives? threw a cookout and invited you over? That's one thing I don't understand. Chicken and waffles. Everybody says it's wonderful, they really, but whoever put that combination together? Let's make a waffle and put chicken on it. Well, you got that right, Linda. Can't even afford to make fucking hamburgers nowadays. You left the relatives long ago. Yeah. Well, it eliminates family fights. Although I'll tell you what, I remember back in the day when all the aunts and uncles were alive, and there was always big cookouts. And then, as the aunts and uncles slowly passed away, the younger generation just didn't follow in their footsteps. Although for some reason I was always the black sheep of the family. I don't know why. I would hear, like, after Father's Day, oh, they had a big cookout at Jimmy's house, or they had a big cookout at Larry's house. And I'd be like, nobody invited me? Over the years, I just, who cares? Oh, yeah, back in the day. But like Linda said, they're too fucking expensive. God. I can imagine by the time you would, even if you did, burgers. But I could never figure out why I was the black sheep. Growing up, me and my, it was always me and my cousins, at the cookouts. We'd all be having a good time. And then, like I say, once the aunts and uncles passed away, all the niece, cousins had cookouts, and nobody ever invited me. So after time, I was like, screw you guys. I don't need you. I don't know why I was the black sheep for some reason of the family, but and with the inception of social media, Facebook, they'd all be posting pictures, Here we all are at, Jimmy's house or Larry's house. Ron, after a while, I could give a shit. I never did anything to any of them. I don't know why. But Christ, growing up, we were always doing something together. Me and my cousins would be fixing cars or I don't need an explanation now. I don't care. Me too, Kathy. I never, as a matter of fact, I never gave them any satisfaction. I didn't comment on Facebook. I didn't like nothing on Facebook. I'd look at the big party and go, screw yous. Yeah, there you go. I ran out of money and gasoline in Arizona, and so the farther I could go, I wanted to make it to California, but it was just really strange that as soon as the aunts and uncles passed, it was like I didn't exist. Everybody else got invited but me. And for the longest time, I was like, what the fuck did I do to somebody? Did I piss someone off? Then after a while, I could give a shit. You know what, Kathy? I don't even look at Facebook. If shit pops up on my phone, I just clear everything. If I go into my Facebook, it doesn't have any of that shit. Postings from all the cousins. I just have my page. I used to let it bother me. Then I got to the point where, hey, I just don't give a shit. I'll have my own barbecue if I want a barbecue. Saves me money, saves me gas, saves me wear and tear on my car. And the thing that really got me, when I worked for the limousine service, my one cousin worked there. And he tried to get buddy with me. Like, can I ride along with you when you do funeral escorts so I can learn? No. What do you mean, no? I'm not the trainer. Yeah, but I need to know the routes to the cemeteries for the funeral homes, like the Jewish funeral home. Learn like I did. No, you can't ride with me. And then I went in and I told the dispatcher. I said, I don't know whether you know or not, but he's my cousin. And I'm not training him. So don't ever put him with me. And I said, don't pair us together. If they need 2 limousines for an airport pickup, don't put him and I together. And it got to be the point where if he happened to be in the driver's lounge, I'd go out and sit in a limousine or walk around the block. It was like I wanted to see my one cousin because growing up, him and I were almost like brothers. And for some unknown reason, his wife did not want me to come out to the house. And the unfortunate thing was, he passed away before I could have a conversation with him. And then after he passed, his wife tried to get all buddy-buddy on Facebook. Block. And then she asked the other relatives, why is he not responding to me? Because you didn't want me to get anywhere near my cousin. But it don't bother me anymore. And then I had one cousin who was a priest. And he was the token priest because he married everybody in the family. And everybody just worshipped him. Oh. And then after he passed away, oh, the dirt that I found on him. I don't even want to go into it, but oh. And when I told my sister, she was shocked. I said, here, read it all for yourself. And everybody thought, oh, father, cousin, priest, oh, he's a god. Me too, Kathy. It's like they didn't exist. Out of my mind. I don't have to kiss anybody's ass. Not that I ever did. But when I found out a few things about the family token priest, everybody thought butter wouldn't melt in his mouth. like he was going to be the next pope. I got a little wisp of something. And I was like, no. Then I started to research. And boy, it's amazing what you can find online. And the more I researched, the worse it got. And everybody was asking, are you coming to the memorial service? No. Why not? He married you twice. Yeah, and? I didn't dare say a word of what I found, except to my sister. Now, whether she passed it on or not, I don't know. It was utterly shocking. It also explained a lot of transfers to different parishes over the years. How he started out in Washington, D.C. and ended up in Texas when he passed away at the retirement house. Yeah, they have a big priest retirement house in Texas. But it also explained why over the years he was at about 25 different parishes. And we'll just leave it to your imagination. Oh, tease the shit out of me now, Ron. Pierogies. I haven't had good pierogies in about 20 years. I can't understand how people can buy those Mrs. T's pierogies. They're filled cardboard, is what they are. I'd rather eat the box they come in. And this year during Lent, my dumbass forgot there's a church in Lakewood where all the little old ladies in the church get together and make pierogies. And you can go down and order them. Talk about heaven when you take a bite. And they made every kind imaginable: potato and cheese, sauerkraut, lekvar, dessert pierogies with lekvar. Well, when you make some, Kathy, I'll give you my address. Oh. The only problem with Lekvar pierogies is you can't really eat a lot. You pay the next morning. Yeah, I would go down and I would order a dozen potato and cheese, a dozen sauerkraut. Well, Lekvar is prune butter. It says right on the jar, prune butter. And if you turn the jar around, it says rectal flush. Colon blow. I'll never forget when I saw that shit. That shit in my grandmother's medicine cabinet. Colon blow. Saute some onions. They're good with sauteed onions. Put some sauteed onions over them, then sour cream. Yeah, eat about a dozen Lekvar pierogies, and the next morning you have colon blow. And you pray nobody's in the bathroom. Let me in! Let me in! Beating on the door. Let me in! Let me in! I can't pinch my ass cheeks together any tighter. Please let me in. Oh, God. After I got out of the bathroom, they put one of them toxic hazardous waste signs on the door. Police tape. Don't go in there, it's a crime scene. Somebody died in there. Oh, God. Be beating on the door. Then it was like, whew, it was only gas. The whole neighborhood, there's a gas cloud around it. What's that blue-green cloud up there? It's toxic hazardous waste. That's when it really sucks, when you have a house with one bathroom and somebody's in it. Oh, God. Please let me in. I ate Lekvar last night. That's how I always knew if my parents were having a little rectal problem. There'd be a big jar of prune juice in the refrigerator. Oh, you having a little problem there? Yeah, purple cloud. Yeah. There's a purple mist seeping out from under the door. Quick, put some wet towels there to keep it in. Oh, God, he's got the window open. Turn the exhaust fan on. That was one thing I did when I remodeled my bathroom at my house. I put a drop ceiling in over the shower and put a big exhaust fan in and vented it out the side of the house. Yeah, sounds like my house at times. Yeah, Ghostbusters. Look out the window and Ecto is parked in your driveway. All the neighbors are like, oh no! Ecto is just pulled up in Grumpy's driveway. Oh boy, temperature dropped to 109. Oh, get the Adirondack chairs out and I'll sit on the deck. There's a true sign of senior citizens when you drive past a house and you see Adirondack chairs. Oh, we know who lives there. I remember all my aunts and uncles had them. Every time you go to an aunt and uncle's house, the Adirondack chairs would be out on the deck. Yeah, don't be stepping on that hot pavement barefoot. You'll leave 2 layers of skin. Do you have mini Tonka slippers? Those are the best slippers I ever bought in my life. Oh, I love them things. They're like fur lined. Plus, they have a sole on them in case I wanted to walk outside. Mini Tonkas. I was going to buy some cheap ass slippers and I saw them and they did happen to go on sale. And I took a chance because the website I order from, they do send a return shipping label. And the first time I slipped my feet into them was like heaven. Mini Tonka. Well worth the money. Before I turn the light off at night, they're parked right next to the bed. Slide out, slip your feet in heaven. I had never heard of them until I was in need for slippers. Now, for years, I wore moccasins with a wool lining. But with moccasins, you can't really go outside with them. I wanted something that had a sole on it because I didn't need to slip and fall down. And I looked at these, and it was Mini Tonka. Never heard of them. Of course, the company is old as Methuselah, so I took a chance. Best slippers I ever ordered. I love them. I recommend them highly. Well, go check it out. Is Ron having neighbor problems? Does he have asshole neighbors? Does he want me to come out and pay a visit? I'll take care of his neighbor problem. Today I was watching. I watched several different YouTube channels with housing court. I don't understand how people can still be in apartments owing thousands of dollars in rent. When I managed the apartment building, the city had a rule that as soon as somebody got 45 days behind in their rent, you filed for eviction. And I remember one time I kind of let it slip. And by the time I realized that they were almost 90 days behind, and that goddamn judge in housing court ripped me a new asshole right in front of everybody. You know what the rule is, 45 days. Yeah, but Kathy, how the hell? One woman was like $7,000 behind in rent. How do they let it go that long? And Kathy, you would know what city it was, Lakewood, because you know the Cleveland area. As soon as it hit the 45-day mark, you were in filing. Oh, that judge was nasty. Oh my God. He looked at that paperwork and he went, "Mr. Grumpy, step up to the bench." I'm not the tenant. I'm the property manager. Step up to the bench. And then he commenced to rip me apart. And the court was full. He called me everything but a white person. Don't you ever let this happen again. I was in that city for 3 years. And I'll tell you what, I will never live in an apartment ever again. I hated apartment living. To me, it was like an oversized jail cell. And then dumbass me told the owner, I said, you need somebody on the premises to manage the property. Because he lived in Westlake. That was the biggest mistake I ever made in my life because I learned real fast. Tenants could care less. They'd call you at 2 in the morning. My toilet's clogged. Go buy a plunger. Oh, apartment living, I don't know how people, well, sometimes people have to do it until they can get on their feet to buy a house. To me, it was like a jail cell. And then, here's a good one. I evicted a tenant. And before she moved out, she poured rice down every drain and then poured boiling water and that rice clogged them drains. I ended up having to bust out part of the wall and put new pipe in. I said, never again. Matter of fact, when I told the owner I was leaving, he begged me to stay. Because I was getting the apartment for 50%. He told me, I'll give you the apartment for free and pay your electric bill. Nope. Then he offered to pay me a monthly fee to stay. You can have a free apartment, I'll pay your electric bill, and I'll pay you $400 a month. I said, no. He upped it to 500. No. He upped it to 600. No. When he upped it to 7, I was like, no. I thought about it for 30 seconds. But a year after I moved out, he sold the building. Because he didn't want to get out of bed at 2 in the morning and come take care of it, go down in the workroom and trip a breaker, Because we didn't dare let anybody down. Originally, they had access to the electric panels for their apartments. Until one time when we had 2 tenants battling, and at 3 in the morning, the one went down and tripped all the breakers in the other tenant's apartment. Who got the phone call? Mr. Grumpy, I don't have any electricity. What do you mean you don't have any electricity? I turned the light on. I got electricity. I don't. And I drag my ass out of bed, go downstairs and find all the breakers tripped. And then I'm thinking to myself, how the hell did she short circuit every goddamn outlet in her apartment? I tripped all the breakers. No sooner got nice and cozy in bed. Mr. Grumpy, I don't have electricity again. Go downstairs. All the breakers are tripped. Then it hit me. Somebody is screwing around. So I got a piece of chain and wrapped it in an X around the breaker box door and put a lock on it. It was amazing. The electricity never went out in that apartment again. So the next day I went to Homeless Depot and bought a deadbolt for the door. And I was the only one with the key. Apartment management sucks. It wasn't worth the free apartment. It was not worth the free apartment. I was waiting for him to offer to buy me a new car and pay my insurance. Then maybe I'd have stayed for another year. Not. And when people are playing, oh, sugar wouldn't melt on their tongues. Oh, man. I'm interviewing them going, wow, this is going to be some nice people for this building. It's amazing. They no sooner get the keys to their apartment, they turn into instant assholes. And then when they move out, they trash the place. It got to the point, and it pissed the building owner off. When a tenant would move out, I immediately ripped all the carpeting out and had new carpeting installed. Because it's amazing what they can dump on carpeting and grind it in. I had one tenant that ground crayons into the floor. And I'm thinking back to when I interviewed them going, wow, talk about Jekyll Hyde. I couldn't do it again. I could not do it again. That's like they're building a senior apartment complex not too far from here. And my friends that call me every Sunday were like, "Oh, why don't you get on the waiting list? That would be so nice." Coming from two people that never lived in an apartment in their life, I was like, no, no, never. I say, to me, it was just an overglorified prison cell. I know some people have to. Me too. I don't understand people, Kathy. My landlord loves me because from the day I moved in, I've never called him with a problem. I handle it because I treat this house as if I own it. And I did that at the last house I was at. But some people, they just, I don't know. I, I, I will go to the day that I die trying to figure out people. And it just, and then, you know, the way the laws are in Ohio, you can't say anything bad. The only thing you could say is, yes, I would rent to them again, or no, I would prefer not to. You can't get into saying, oh, they poured rice down the drain and clogged the drains and ground crayons into the carpeting and scribbled on the walls. No, you can't. Oh, no. The only thing you could say is, yes, I'd rent to them, or no, I wouldn't. And if somebody asks, well, why wouldn't you? I'd say, well, by law, I really can't tell you. So, toss a coin whether you want to rent to them or not. Because, oh man, I would have loved to go into full detail, but I could have gotten sued. That little that one little paragraph in the landlord-tenant laws in Ohio. Although it's the same thing with corporations. HR can only say, yes, I'd hire him back, or no, I wouldn't. They can't tell you, oh, he stole $140,000 from the company. And you can't say something like, watch for an indictment. You can't even say that. Say, gee, if you follow the county court system, you might see their name on an indictment somewhere. Can't say that. In some certain circumstances, the goddamn tenant has more rights than you do. And they have the right to trash your goddamn building, and you can't say a word. Although I heard that Lakewood now has written into the landlord-tenant codes for the city that a landlord must do background and credit checks. But none of that is free. So you're going to spend a couple $100 doing background and credit checks to find out their low life, and you lose that money. And basically, when you go to evict them, you take a real ding from the judge. If the judge says, well, did you do the background and credit check? No. Well, this is your fault. And then they would deliberately pass the case. You can come back in 2 weeks, and, well, what do you mean come back in 2 weeks? I said, we'll be back in 2 weeks. Oh, yes, Your Honesty, asshole. Contempt, 30 days. Oh, I couldn't, no. Couldn't do it. I had to eat that. No, I haven't, read the landlord-tenant laws recently, but at that time, I couldn't say, well, if you have to give me $200 to do a background and a credit check. And then they would just say, oh, okay, I changed my mind, I'll go somewhere else. And at that point, you knew they were lowlifes. because they didn't want you looking into their background or their credit, because they had a shitty background and no credit. I I would never live in an apartment again, and I would never manage one for anybody, no matter what the perks. Really? Even with a notice? Anybody could. Well, I mean, if I wanted to inspect the tenant's apartment, I had to give him a 72-hour notice. That was in the landlord tenant. You could inspect an apartment at any time as long as you gave a 72-hour notice. Well, Sherry, I don't own this one, but I'll tell you what, after apartment living, I would never, ever live in an apartment again. And basically my landlord treats it like it's my house. I haven't seen or heard from him since I moved in. Four years ago. Never a need. If something goes haywire, I fix it. Now, if it's some big thing, like a hot water tank or a furnace, yeah. But if I need to replace a wall outlet, okay, I do it. Yeah, we were 72, unless it was an emergency. Then you could go right in, and the tenant had to let you in. Sherry, when I was managing, and you would know right where I was at. I was right next to Lucas Sunoco, across from the football field. And I had a tenant that brought bed bugs into the building. Because there was a house down the street that was infested. Because I knew one of the city inspectors. And they threw all the furniture out. Well, this asshole went down and grabbed a couple of chairs and stuff. Well, then he's calling me. I got bed bugs. Luckily, we were able to keep them in his apartment. I gave him his security deposit and 2 months' rent and said, get the fuck out. And then it cost me $800 to have the place de-bedbugged. And even after the exterminating company certified it was bug free, I still didn't want to walk in that apartment. When I told the tenant, here's your security deposit and here's 2 months' rent, leave, he tried to take me to court. And I told the judge, he brought them in. He got furniture off the tree lawn of the house down the street they were fumigating. And luckily, the city inspector who lived down the street had actually seen him carrying one of the living room chairs. And he went into court and said, yeah, he brought them in. So luckily, we were able to stop them in one apartment. But it cost me $800 because they literally cook them out. They brought in like big giant space heaters, then sealed all the windows and everything off because they had to raise the temperature in the apartment like 150 degrees or something. And then after they cooked them out, then they went in and big industrial vacuum cleaners and then sprayed. Then they give me a certificate. I was afraid to walk in the place. Matter of fact, when I put it up for rent, I gave the tenant the keys. I said, here, go up and look around. Let me know when you come back. I wouldn't set foot in. Oh, yeah, that's what they warn travelers. They can get in your suitcase and everything. You stay in what you think is a decent motel or hotel. You get bed bugs in your carry-on. What's the first thing you do? You bring your carry-on in and you set it on your bed. And then all the guests that you picked up make a home. As much as I would love to travel, no way, not today. With all the restrictions for one, and then you can't trust a hotel, motel, no matter what Motel 6, Marriott, Hilton, they all got bugs. That's like, on trash day, I have seen some absolutely gorgeous old dressers. From the 30s, 40s, where they're all hand fit, hand carved, hand inlay. I would love to have had some of them. You can't trust anything today. God, even Goodwill and St. Vincent's, they really don't want furniture anymore. You can't trust anything today. I mentioned it the other day, a couple weeks ago. There was this gorgeous dresser. I drove past it 2 or 3 times, debating. And there were 2 reasons I decided against it. One, did it have vermin in it? And two, it would have taken about 3 people to lift it. Oh, I would love to bat watch. I've seen a couple documentaries. I would love to bat watch. No, Kathy, and it broke my heart because it was just looking at it, it was all handmade. It had beautiful inlay, and it had been well taken care of. Like I said, I drove past it 3 times. I went around the block. Because, you know, it's not like you open a drawer and the vermin wave at you. Plus, it was heavy. I'd have tried to pick that up, both my balls would have hit the ground. I could feel the hernia popping right away. And knowing that the next morning it was going to get crushed in a garbage truck broke my heart. I didn't trust it. Oh, I could have brought it, a couple drawers. Then maybe it would have been light enough to load in the truck. No, I'm not taking that chance. It's too expensive to fumigate a house. Not to mention, I'd have to rent a goddamn hotel room. Nope. A couple summers ago, we had oh God, it's been there for probably 50 years, a manufactured house on a foundation. How the people got the permit, I never know, but it's been there for years. And it was loaded with bed bugs. And the equipment that they had to bring out to decontaminate that place was amazing, first of all. And second of all, it had to cost a couple $1,000, if not more. And of course, it's rented out, people are living in it, but I wouldn't trust it. No goddamn way. As much as I would love to grab some of the furniture I see go out, especially, houses where seniors have been there 50, 60 years and the family just calls, we got junk to come clean the place out. And just to see this stuff get pitched. A couple of weeks ago on a tree lawn was a judge's chair. A big leather, looked like it came from a courthouse. Oh, did I want that? I pulled up and I looked and thought and looked and thought. And while I was looking, somebody at the house went, "You can have it. We don't want it anymore." And it drove away. Grumpy would have looked neat with a big judge's chair behind him. I didn't trust it. When I was young, tree lawn shopping was unbelievable. Everybody did it. Everybody tree lawn shopped back in the day. But that was before the outbreaks of all the vermin, too. I got some nice stuff off of tree lawns back in the day. Uh-oh. Wouldn't trust it. Last of the coffee. I think it's salad time. And I'm sure my cat's sitting right outside the door. Feed me. So with that, I think it's outro time. We know where. Right there. And everybody, thanks for coming. Been another interesting night of conversation. And we will meet again tomorrow. Everyone, have a wonderful rest of your evening. I appreciate everyone for being here. Take care.